Hi, my name is Greg Shute. Welcome back to another guitar tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how you can create some beautiful sounding chord progressions using just two simple open chord shapes. These are fairly common concepts, but I think they can add a real depth and richness to your sound. They're great for really getting creative with, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun with them. I'll also be talking a little bit about some of the theory behind the shapes, nothing too in depth, but just touching on the major scale, chords within keys, and some bar chord shapes. Don't worry if you're not familiar with those things, you won't necessarily need to know them in order to get a lot from it. You can just learn the shapes and the positions and you'll be off and running really. But I would recommend that you try and follow along with some of the theory, because it'll only help to expand your knowledge of the guitar fretboard and your music theory and knowledge in general. And finally, I'll be sharing a little bonus tip towards the end about how you can pick out some individual strings in your rhythm playing, just to highlight and bring out some melody in your strumming, a bit like I was doing in the introduction there. And so if you enjoy the lesson, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more guitar related videos. And so let's get into today's lesson. Okay, so we're just going to start by talking about a little bit of the theory behind where these shapes are actually coming from. We're playing in the key of E major today, so we're going to need to figure out the notes and the chords within that key. And to start with, we're just going to look at the E major scale, and that's made up of the notes E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, and E again. And you notice that I played all of those with the root note on the low E string, and that's because we're going to use those notes as a basis for building chords. So in order to know what chords we apply to those, we're going to use a formula which is applicable to all major keys, and it tells us the order of the chords that we find within a major key. And that formula is major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. So we're going to take those notes of the E major scale and we're going to apply those chord forms to each one of those notes. The only exception for this is going to be the diminished. We're not going to include that because we don't need that for the open chord voicings that we're using today. But we'll include the three major chords and the three minor chords. So they will be E major, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A major, B major, C sharp minor, and then finishing up here at the 12th fret with E major. So that's all the bar chords that we find in the key of E, and so now we need to kind of have a look at how we can create these open chord voicings that we're actually using. And it's really simple. We're basically just going to include the open E and open B strings on the top of each of these chords. So that means losing the bar and just incorporating two shapes. One is a major shape and one is a minor shape. So the major shape is really straightforward. It's just the same as our regular E shape here at the open position. The next chord shape would be F sharp minor. So here's the bar chord, and we're going to lose the bar and bring the first finger and play the second fret of the G string. Third and fourth fingers stay where they are. They're going to be on the fourth fret of the A and the D strings. We're not going to play the low E, so that's going to be muted, and the top B and E strings are going to be open, so that sounds like this. So you can hear how those open strings are already starting to add a bit of depth to the sound of the chord. Then G sharp minor would be the next one, so that the bar chord is here at the 4th fret. Again, we're going to bring that first finger round, play on the 3rd string, the G string, at the 4th fret, and then the 3rd finger and the 4th finger at the A and the D strings at the 6th fret. So 6th string, E string is muted, and then the two open strings on top again. Next, we get to A major, so normally the bar chord is here and the bar is at the 5th fret. Again, we're going to take off the bar, and this time we're just left with the major shape already, so that's the 3rd finger at the 7th fret of the A string, little finger 7th fret of the D string, and the 2nd finger at the 6th fret of the G string, and the top two strings open again. So I'm actually going to use my thumb here just to mute the 6th string. So that way when you strum all the strings, you don't have to be too worried about catching that open string there. So for the B major, our next chord, we move up again 2 frets, same shape. This would be the bar chord at the 7th fret here. We can again lose the bar, leave our E shape open. top 2 strings open, third, fourth fingers at the 9th fret now with the A and the D strings, and then second fingers on the 8th fret of the G string. And for our final minor shape, we're coming up to the 9th fret, which would be a C sharp minor, bringing the first finger around again. And you can see that we're now playing the first finger at the 9th fret of the G string, the third finger and the fourth finger are at the 11th fret of the A and the D strings, and again the top 2 strings are open. The second finger is just lightly resting on that E string, just to mute that again. And then finally we can come up to the 14th and 13th fret there with our E shape. And that's basically an octave above the original open position E chord. So just to recap, all together we've got E major, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A major, B major, C sharp minor, and then E major again at the top. So because we're actually adding some extensions to these chords by including the open strings, the name of the chord actually changes, and we've actually got some quite interesting and long-winded names for some of these chords. I've included those with the diagrams there at the bottom of the diagram, but at the top of the diagram I've just kept them as their straightforward major or minor name, just for simplicity. I think most people would refer to these as just normal major or minor shapes. Next thing really is to start being creative and you know, trying some of these shapes in different positions. I think what I played at the beginning there was a little chord progression I came up with earlier, basically 3 little parts. First part was E major to G sharp minor to A major. That was 2 bars of the E, a bar of G sharp minor and a bar of A, something like this. The second part I think was C sharp minor, down to the B, down to A, and that repeats twice. I'll just do it the once. And then the third part was going from E again to the G sharp minor to F sharp minor, and then E to G sharp minor to A, and that repeats twice. So. And again, you can hear those open strings, they really just add a lushness to these chords. They sound really nice, and you can have a lot of fun being creative with these and experimenting, putting them into different combinations. You can use those, what I just played there, as a basis for some kind of inspiration if you need it, or you can just start, you know, playing them in any order you like. So just for this final little tip, I'm just going to show you how you can pick out some of these individual notes as part of the strumming pattern. It's quite tricky to start with. You really have to work on getting a nice light touch and just picking out individual strings. Just take a little bit of practice, but once you get the hang of it, it can really bring out some melody in your rhythm playing. The idea really is just that we're picking single strings as an up instead of an up strum. So when we do a down strum as normal, on the way up we're going to lightly flick either the first string or the second string. And it doesn't really matter if you catch both of them at the same time. Well, that sounds quite nice, but it just brings out a little bit of melody into your rhythm. So again, it's all about that nice up strum, nice light touch. And I'm kind of picking outwards a little bit. So instead of kind of picking into the strings, I'm kind of flicking slightly away from the strings as I do it. That just kind of helps you to not hit any of the other strings that you don't really want to. Okay, so I hope that helps. You can have a bit of practice with that and have some fun with it. So I hope you enjoyed that and found it of some use. I'd really encourage you to be as creative as you possibly can with it, and really experiment with different combinations of the chords until you come up with something that you're happy with. And you know, it works great with different styles, so a bit of fingerstyle acoustic guitar, or with electric guitar if you've got some effects, some delay, some reverb. Sounds really nice. So yeah, have some fun with it. Again, if you enjoyed the lesson, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more regular guitar videos. And don't forget to hit the little notification bell, which will tell you when all my new videos are being posted. And thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you again in the next one.